to the WhatsApp chat. So before starting the discussion early, let us, as always, create the background or the environment that is suitable for a Dhamma discussion, the physical environment as well as the mental environment. So let us focus on all the meritorious deeds that we have done throughout this samsara, especially in this life, and focusing on that rare opportunity we have got, because emanation of a Buddha Sasana is very rare, and in that Buddha Sasana, being able to do meritorious deeds is also rare. So we have been able to get a human life in this rare occasion. So think about that. This is not a coincidence, and think about the meritorious power that we might have generated in the past to have this occasion, and think about the meritorious deeds that we have done in this life as a result. And may all those meritorious power agglomerate together, creating the perfect environment for everyone to complete their Ari journeys. May everyone's minds become calmer and clearer, and may it create that background which is needed for everyone to understand the Supreme Dhamma. Accept this with a sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu.
sadhu.
And not only the positive side, there's a negative side as well. So the negative side is when we get associated with Buddha Sasanas, meritorious deeds are not the only thing that we do. Since the beings are with avijja, they can do apunya kriya, unwholesome acts towards the Buddha Sasana as well as towards other beings. If we had done any unwholesome things, 10 unwholesome actions towards the Buddha Sasana, towards other beings, let us understand our faults, acknowledge our faults, let us promise ourselves that we are not going to do those wrong things again. That is the correct forgiveness in Buddha Sasana. And let's seek forgiveness in front of Supreme Buddhas and promise that we are not going to do wrong things again. With that thought in mind, accept it with a sadhukara.
Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So today also we have got a few questions. We'll go through the questions in the order that you have sent the questions to the chat. So the first question that I got, I'll read it first and then we'll move on with the discussion. So the question is, non Samma Ditthi equals Miccha Ditthi. Is this right? Are we calling only the 10 evil views we learned last time as Miccha Ditthi? Or are we calling all the views of various Tirthakas? I think that is the word. The other paribrajakas or other priests or other monks that were parallel or that were living parallel to the bhikkhus at that time, having various ideologies, as these are the tirthakas. So are we calling all the views of various tirthakas as Miccha Ditthi? So the thing about, I'll answer this question first. So the thing about Buddhism or the teachings of Supreme Buddha is we have to be very flexible, and we cannot have these boxes or these definitions and these what do you say, the limitations when it comes to words, when it comes to things. So Miccha Ditthi and Samma Ditthi are also like that. When it comes to Samma Ditthi, sometimes we call Samma Ditthi for the Arya view. Sometimes in some suttas, like the Mahachattarisaka Sutta, Samma Ditthi is divided into two parts, which is Laukika Samma Ditthi and Lokottara Samma Ditthi. That is mundane Samma Ditthi and Lokottara Samma Ditthi. And the rest is divided as Miccha Ditthi. This is one way of division. But it is not the only way that Miccha Ditthi and Samma Ditthi are divided. We can divide as Samma Ditthi as the Lokottara and all the rest as Miccha Ditthi as well. So in that, the Laukika Samma Ditthi also falls under Miccha Ditthi. So we have to know when reading these texts, especially Tripitaka, we have to know when to use what. So that needs a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of ability to understand the Tripitaka Suttas. Otherwise, it says if the person who is reading or who is practicing Dhamma is not having Artha Dhamma Nirukti Patibhana, that person might be like a blind elephant who is in the forest. A blind elephant in the forest cannot walk properly because he would bump into trees, bump into rocks, fall into pits, and he would get injured. That animal would get injured and wouldn't be able to find the correct path. Just like that, since Vaharaka Thero was there to reveal the hidden parts with his Artha Dhamma Nirukti Patibhana, now we are able to decipher these suttas to an extent, not fully yet, but to an extent. Otherwise, if he was not there, we also would be like blind elephants. But since there was one elephant who was not blind, now we are going after that elephant, so we can also find the correct pathway. So this is just a comparison. So what we need to remember is there are ways to when it comes to teachings of Supreme Buddha, various layers of people were touched. Some people had lot of wisdom, were focused to Nibbana, and the delivery of Dhamma was for that. But some individuals like Upasaka, Upasika, their main goal was not, the priority was not Nibbana first. So they had to, they should be approached in a different way. So the first thing is about Laukika Samma Ditthi, because a person who is doing all the unwholesome things cannot understand Arya Dhamma. So that person needs to understand this, the Laukika Samma Ditthi, or the Karma Phala, or the refraining from believing the 10 Miccha Ditthi, or the 10 unwholesome views. So that is the first foundation for them for the next task, which is understanding Lokottara Samma Ditthi. So for that, the classification is different. So if we get the Miccha Ditthi, the proper classification of Miccha Ditthi, or some Miccha Ditthi and Samma Ditthi, we can divide. I'll draw it so it will be easier for everyone to understand. So there are two sides. One is the the unwholesome, or we can say upasaka upasika, or ones who are not focused, let's say that would be better, not focused to Dhamma, and might having a little bit of wisdom. There are people who are focused and want to attain Nibbana. For those people, the sermons were different. For one, the sermons are different. For two, sermons are different. So this one is, we can say, Samma Ditthi. Samma Ditthi has two parts, which is, one is Laukika or mundane, and this one is Lokottara. And the other one is the Miccha Ditthi. Miccha Ditthi is that 10 views that are evil views. So in these views, these views are like, one is there's no results in dana, there are no special persons like mother and father, there's no help, we don't have to pay respect or do our duties to them, and there's no black and white karma, there's no individuals who have understood the reality of the world or enlightened persons. Likewise, there are 10 views. So these are Miccha Ditthi. But when we divide everything from a point of Nibbana, there are Samma Ditthi, and that Samma Ditthi is just one Samma Ditthi, which is the Lokottara Samma Ditthi. Now we are talking from a point of Nibbana, Lokottara. It is always Lokottara, and the rest is Miccha Ditthi. So when you talk about Miccha Ditthi, of this Tirthaka, we are talking about this Miccha Ditthi. So there are, if you read the Brahmajala Sutta, there are 62 types of views of Miccha Ditthi practiced by these various Tirthakas. Akiriya Vada, Ajicca Samuppanna Vada, then there is like Swasata Vada, Uchcheda Vada. There are various types of ways they think that world is like this and Nibbana is like this, and they are having various viewpoints on Nibbana, or again another word for Nibbana may be salvation. So they want to get rid of this sansaric journey, or they want to find at least a reason why this life is occurring, or why we are suffering, or why this life continues to happen. One set of people thinks that it always will be there, it cannot be deleted, it is permanent, it is everlasting, and we have to deal with it. So what we can do is, we can do good things and just go to the Brahma world and live forever. So that is one end, that is the yes end. And the other end is no end. In the no end, people think, you can have it. In the no end, the people think there are nothing. So nothing end. In the nothing end, people don't believe anything. It's like the world is created out of apo tejo, or we are just beings, and we are just life created out of apo tejo ayo patavi. So apo tejo ayo patavi randomly get together, and we come to be, or we start living, and then after some time it randomly dissociates into its 4 elements, and now we are not there. So that is one viewpoint. So likewise, in that there's no karma vipaka, it's all random things happening. So if somebody kills somebody, it's like when we take a knife and we press it on the other person's chest. So the explanation in those kind of viewpoints is just patavi going through patavi, nothing other than that. So the knife is patavi, the person's body is patavi, so patavi moving through patavi. Other than that, there's nothing. So that kind of a viewpoint is very dangerous, because that person would not care anymore. That not think that the other person is a person, or the Kammapala would not be believed. So that would change, or that would drag him to a very difficult position. That would change his mindset in a way, because the person is always having avijja, so he gives value to things. So when value is given and karma pala, or karma mechanism of karma is not believed, then that is a very dangerous position, because since value is given, that person naturally tends to protect, and naturally tends to uh, go for the niche mindset, where he wants things according to his way. So when somebody wants things according to his way or her way, and doesn't even believe the consequences of karma, would do anything without thinking twice, and that is a very dangerous position to have. So that's why the Miccha Ditthi is a problem. So especially the no end, which is the Uchchedavada. There are various types of Uchchedavada, and they are very, very bad. Sasatavada, in the other hand, is not that bad, kind of having that Laukika Samma Ditthi. So we can again divide like this, again two types. These 62 Miccha Ditthis can be divided as Uchcheda and Sasata. So the Uchcheda is a bad one, and Sasata is a little bit okay, but not okay when we compare with Nibbana, because the Sasatas also would be having the sansaric journey. Uchchedas also would be having the sansaric journey. But the thing is, in Sasatas believe a little bit of Kamma Pala, like the 10 evil viewpoints are not there in Sasata most of the time. Those individuals at least would do better than the Uchchedas, and go to planes of deities and planes of Brahma, instead of just go to the Anantarika or Lokantarika Niraya, or the hells. So Uchchedas, they don't have a chance, they would just go to the Niraya. So this is the difference between Samma Ditthi and Miccha Ditthi. So you cannot say that Samma Ditthi, if not Samma Ditthi, or non-Samma Ditthi, is always Miccha Ditthi. In one classification, yes, you can say that. If you compare it with Nibbana, yes, you can say that. But if you compare it with the worldly mechanism of things, then you have Samma Ditthi, and it has two arms, Laukika and Lokottara. Laukika Samma Ditthi again is Samma Ditthi, because in that, Raga Dosa Moha is temporarily eliminated or temporarily stopped, so that Raga Dvesa Moha, the extreme extent of Raga Dosa Moha, which is Lobha Dosa Moha, is stopped to an extent temporarily, so that the people or the sentient beings would not go to the four hells, as long as they practice the Laukika Sammaditi. The thing is, you cannot practice Laukika Sammaditi forever, because in one life, maybe you meet a good person, or maybe a bodhisattva, or maybe a good individual, a satpurisa, and from that satpurisa, you listen to that dhamma and decides, yes, this is true, I would believe Kammapala, and I would not do unwholesome things, and I would preserve, or I will observe precepts, I would observe sil, and I would be a virtuous person. And that in that life, maybe he acted according to the Laukika Sammaditi, and that itself helped him to elevate up to a better plane, deities or Brahmas, maybe. But the thing is, the energy that was created by doing those actions of virtuousness were limited. So the energy wears away. When the energy is worn out, or again, the other word is jara marana happens, those individuals cannot, or those beings cannot stay there forever. So they have to come back down to the human form. And when it happens, what if they don't meet a Satpurisa? We don't meet Satpurisas all the time, and we meet a very, very bad Asapurisa. And he explains that these are all lies. And we start believing that as well at that point. And that is how we go to the inferior places. So this is not going to end. Even if you practice Laukika Samma Ditthi or Miccha Ditthi. So Miccha Ditthi is like a direct flight to Lokantrika Naraka. And in that Naraka, it's so cold, and there's no light, zero light. You cannot see pitch darkness. You cannot see the other person. And the bodies are made of ice, kind of a thing. So actually the explanation of Lokantrika Naraka very well fits with the explanation of a black hole, if you compare the two. So black hole might be that Lokantrika Naraka. It says that there are black holes that are older than the universe. Exactly, it is the case with Lokantrika Naraka as well, because Lokantrika Naraka doesn't get destroyed in the end of Kappa or Eon. The usual thing is the 31 planes get destroyed, or most of the 31 planes, at least up until Abhasara, including the Aviti Naraka, or Aviti, hell of Aviti, which is the baddest one, which has a lot of fire. So it also get destroyed at the end of this Mahakappa, or the big Eon. But the thing is, at that point as well, the Lokantrika Naraka would not get deleted at that time as well. So it is not everlasting, but it stays for a very, very long time. So that is the nature of Miccha Ditthi. So everybody, so the thing is, when somebody is practicing Miccha Ditthi, that those 10 evil views, it starts with not believing about Aryas, or ones who have higher abilities, higher mental abilities, the ones who can see the mechanism of karma. It's not just Aryas. So things like sages, ones like the virtuous individuals who have meditated and opened their third eyes, who has abhinya powers, and who can see these things, the Gandhapas, the ones, the people who die and how they are born again, and the good actions having good consequences, bad actions having bad consequences. People or beings, individuals doesn't need to have or become Arihat or Aryas to understand this. A little bit of pure mind would reveal all these for most of the people in the at the back of in previous eras. But now, since the world is so polluted, most of the people doesn't have these abilities. So the ones who are not having these abilities are the ones who are spreading the wrong ideologies about this world, that there's no karma vipaka. If you think about the main religions which are there in this world right now, they all have, if you go to the first books of them, they all in a way explains the karma mechanism. Christianity, it also explains the karma mechanism. You do good, you get good, kind of explanation is there. So the Laukika mechanism is not very hard to understand by a person, but the Lokottara is, of course, could be understood only by a Supreme Buddha, and then only his disciples would be able to understand. So the answer to the question is non-Samma Ditthi is always Miccha Ditthi, question mark. So is non-Samma Ditthi always Miccha Ditthi was the question. So in a way, yes. In a way, no. So you have both answers, yes and no. I think you understand why the both answers are there. So in the 62 viewpoints, explanation of 62 viewpoints, or when we explain Miccha Ditthi and Samma Ditthi according to Nibbana, or focused on Nibbana, based on Nibbana, the Samma Ditthi is the Lokottara one, as we have written here, and the Miccha Ditthi is the 62 viewpoints. And all the viewpoints are can be categorized into these 62. So these 62, some of them has the 10 evil views and some of them don't. Some of them has the Laukika Samma Ditthi actually. But it also falls under Miccha Ditthi when we compare it with Lokottara Samma. So that's what we want to explain. We wanted to explain. So I think that's clear. If you have any questions regarding that, feel free to answer. Feel free to ask, so we can discuss them as we go on.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. So the mind of a polluted being cannot be simply explained, but there are those who do not do any apunnya action or any punya action as well. This is clearly not doing any meritorious action. So does this also belong to apunya action? In terms of terminology, this also seems to belong to a non plus punya action. In this case, they did not do any sinful action, but they did not do any meritorious action either. So I guess one's condition for the next life will not be good. Of course, it will be a little better than the case of sinful action. So what you're asking is, everything is not black and white. We have a spectrum when it comes to most of the things. When we think about the practical world, we don't find black and white things. We get black, then it becomes gray, and then it becomes white. So just like that, there are apunya kriya, there are punya kriya. Punya kriya may be the white part of the spectrum. Apunya kriya, the black part of the spectrum. And there are things in between, like going to the washroom, having a meal maybe without, let's keep that aside, having water, and things like resting when we feel tired. So basically things that are also done by arihats. So they need to go to the washroom, they need to drink water, they want to rest sometimes. So since we also do those things, of course we can do them with evil intent sometimes. If the person wants, everything can be done with the evil intent. So it is the mind that is important here. So most of the time, people does not get that evil intent when doing something, like going to the washroom, for example. So do they fall under punya or apunya? Now there's this abhyakata kriya. These abhyakata kriya are things that doesn't fall under punya or apunya, both. So punya and apunya are the things that creates energy to go to the higher upper realms or lower down realms. But when it comes to these normal actions, like day-to-day actions that we do without raga, dosa, moha, those might not be, those cannot be put under punya or apunya. So that we only learned mainly about avijja paticcasamuppada and the kusala mula paticcasamuppada. There are many other paticcasamupadas, and the explanations of paticcasamuppada is like an ocean. We cannot end it. We cannot understand it fully. So there are many other paticcasamupadas, but we don't need them, or we don't need all of them to understand Arya Dhamma. We just need the uh, we just need the essence of Dhamma, which is why we want to end this life. When why the reasoning out should be like this: why are we looking for Dhamma? What is the problem with this world? Then the answer would be like, okay, it's not ending, and it is of suffering nature. So the suffering is not ending. So I want to find a solution for this suffering, a permanent one. I have been looking for temporary solutions all my life, all my sansaric journey. Now I want to find a real solution. So that is the reason why everyone is looking for Dhamma. So if that is the reason, and if one gets that single mechanism or single pathway that would give an answer to the question, then just we have to take it. There would be answers for many things on the way, but that is not the point why we searched for Dhamma. So we have to look for the point, look the reason why we are searching for Dhamma, and find the answer for that question. I'll give you a comparison or a simile like this, example like this. So let's say a person has having a garden of fruits. Now various types of fruits like grapes, mangoes, apples, pears, everything is there. So the person doesn't know anything about fruits. At least he doesn't know what fruits to eat and what not to eat. So he decides, I have to learn what fruits I should eat and what fruits I should not eat. So he decides, if I learn all the fruits that I should not eat, then I would be able to find the foods I should eat. So what he does is he goes to a library, or he goes to a special person, or a called elite, who is very good at fruits, various types of fruits, and the botany, or the these the various types of fruits, trees and everything, and starts learning all the trees that are not fruits, or that are not edible by people, poisonous ones that are not that cannot be eaten, and everything is learned, like 10,000, maybe 15,000, maybe more than that, types of trees and fruits, and not fruits, trees and poisonous fruits, and everything is learned. So that now he knows everything about the poisonous ones, unwanted ones. Now he can find what he wants to eat, because when he goes and checks a fruit, he uses his database to see whether it is in his database, and he says, no, this is not in my database, so it should be something I can eat, and he eats. So is it a productive way of approaching a problem? Or what if he decides, I'll just learn the few fruits in my garden so that I can identify the fruits I should eat, and I'll pluck them and I'll have them. So he go to a person and learns about grapes, learn about mangoes, learn about apples, and maybe like handful of fruits. Let's say 20 fruits were learned. And now he is very good at finding his own meal from his garden without having a problem. Yes, he doesn't know all the poisonous one. Yes, he doesn't know all the unwanted fruits that are not edible. But he can survive in his garden without a problem, just knowing only 20 types of fruits. Just like that, we just have to focus on the not on all the negatives, but on the positive thing that we should practice to get Nibbana. We should be focused because this world is very vast and the time period of samsara is very vast. So there are various types of things, various mechanisms, various ideologies, various things that are there in this world. And these things are, if we try to go through all of them, it 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 might change our focus from the main thing, because the main thing is not that easy to achieve. So we have to have all our focus on the main result, which is maybe nibbana in our case. So we have to focus all our effort, all our wisdom, all our focus to achieving nibbana. So we don't have focus, we don't have uh we cannot afford focusing. We cannot afford deviating our wisdom to other things. If we get a question, of course we should solve it, that is fine, but we should not look for questions. We solve the question and we move on. Our direction is towards Nibbana. Our focus is towards Nibbana. When our focus is towards Nibbana, direction is towards Nibbana, another question can pop up. So it's okay to answer that when the question pops up. But we should not look for questions and go after things and try to explore the unwanted territories that might have more questions, and answering those questions would get us more questions, and it would be just answering questions and not focusing on elimination of raga dosa moha. So we have to be very aware what we are focusing on here while we are developing the wisdom to eliminate raga dosa moha. So that is, with that explanation, I think what needs to be understood is what should do is this punya kriya is actually creating the background for nibbana, because meritorious deeds is what created life, refreshness, power, comfort, and wisdom. So since we get food, we getting money, we are able to have a decent job, we are able to have a decent lifestyle, is due to past actions, consequences of past actions. So we have done meritorious deeds, otherwise we would be having bad, negative experiences. Now since we are getting positive experiences, that is a result of positive things that we have done in the past. So that helps. So the punya helps to complete our RA journey. So we focus on punya. That is not a problem. But no, focus, the first priority should not be punya. It should be the arepatyo ariyattangika magga. But punya karma or punya actions on the side helps a lot. So I was explaining recently about the explanation of karuna sasana and prajna sasana. So I'll draw it. There's this good, very nice example um, given by our Miccha Thero when explaining karuna sasana and prajna sasana. These punya things actually is about karuna sasana and prajna sasana. So if you get a boat like this, the boat in the ocean, this is a very very thin boat. So it is very long, elongated but thin boat, which is used by fishermen here in Sri Lanka to go on fishing. So the thing is, this get toppled over upside down if a big ocean wave comes, if you go like this. So what they do is they connect it with two poles to another small log, might not that small, but smaller than the first one. Second one is smaller. The first one is bigger, and we have to sit on this. and we are thrusting, or we are using the force to move forward while sitting on this. So the thing is, we cannot leave this part. If we leave this part, this would get toppled over and we would die in the middle of the ocean when an ocean wave comes. So this part is essential. But this part, the second, number 2, should not be bigger than the number 1. Then you would not be able to control the thing, control the boat. So this number 1 is like the prajna sasana, which is the Aryattangika Magga, the wisdom, the vipassana, everything was under the same umbrella term. So the second one is the Karuna Sasana, which actually keeps the Prajna Sasana in place, or stabilizes the Prajna Sasana. See, the number 2 stabilizes the this boat, bigger boat. Without either of them, Sasana is not completed. That's why Sasana has 2 wings, Karuna and Prajna. Prajna Sasana, Karuna Sasana. So the Prajna Sasana focuses on mainly on the development of wisdom. So the person understands anicca, dukkha, anatta more and more. But the Karuna Sasana, on the other hand, creates the background for that. Let's say we are having problems with our job, we don't get enough money, we are very busy with work, and we don't get enough sleep, and we are very stressed. Now we cannot complete the Prajna Sasana in that kind of a scenario, because we have our bonds with our children, maybe parents, maybe others. So we depend. Many people are dependent on us. Maybe that's the case. So in those types of cases, the person cannot get that calm and clear mindset to practice Arya Dhamma. So that's why it is very needed for them to have that good background, full of comfort, full of restfulness, full of uh, bliss, maybe, or comfort, power, refreshness, life. These are the things that are obtained by Karuna, doing Karuna Sasana. So we do go for Punya Kriya. What are the Punya Kriya? We have Dana, we have Sila, we have then Bhavana or meditation, then there's Anumodanas, then there's helping or respecting the Aryas, or the noble ones. Then there is Dhamma listening, Dhamma preaching. So we doing this is actually Karuna Sasana. So that is what is stabilizing the Prajna Sasana without making it topple over. So that this is a very good example. So Punya helps, and Apunya is what we should get rid of. So Apunya, why do individuals do Apunya Kriya? Why do people kill? Why do people hurt others? Why do people steal other people's things? Why do people have unethical relationships with others? Why do people lie? Why do people slander? Why do people use harsh words on others so that their mind becomes um, so how can I say, they become sad or negative? Why do people use frivolous talk? Why do people become greedy? Why do people become malicious? Why do people have wrong and distorted views about this world? Because they give value to this world. So to get rid of Apunya Kriya, what we have to practice is the Panya Sasana. So we are stabilizing the Karuna Sasana. We are having, but of course it's the second option, not the first one. First one always should be the Panya Sasana. So on the side, we are practicing Punya Kriya and we are practicing Vipassana. When we practice Vipassana, the value to the world starts to deteriorate little by little. So we don't kill people. Killing is now gone out of the system. Now we start, and the hurting also starts to reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce. And there comes a day that this person doesn't hurt anybody, any living soul in this universe. And that person is called Arihat. So that person doesn't steal, doesn't have unethical relationships, doesn't slander, doesn't lie. All the 10 Apunya Kriya are gone because the value is now zero. Value has become zero. So for the value to become zero, we have to practice Panyasasana. But we cannot practice Panyasasana alone. Why? We need the background for that, which is done by the Panyasasana, which is done by the Karunasasana. So we need both Karunasasana and Panyasasana. The thing is, you have to sit here on number 1. If you sit here on number 2 and start paddling, this would start to go around number 1 because number 1 is bigger and number 2 is smaller. If you start paddling sitting here, it would start moving in circles like this and not do the act of moving forward, or the real movement of this type of a boat would not happen. So what we need is sitting here. So priority number 1 is Panyasasana. Priority number 2 is Karunasasana. It should be there because this is what stabilizing number 1. So that is about it, about the Karunasasana and Panyasasana. So now we know exactly what we have to do. This is what is summarized in the text. Sabba Papa Sakaranang. So to do Sabba Papa Sakaranang, or to eliminate all the Apunya Kriya, what should we do? We should practice Panyasasana. Kusalasa Upasampada. So we have to do that. We have to practice Anicca Dukkha Anatta. For get the background, we get the background for that by practicing Punya Kriya. So when we do that, Sachitta Pariyodapana, Raga would be eliminated, Dosa and Moha would be eliminated. Sachitta, or person's one's chitta, would become purified. Etam Buddhana Sasana. And that is the end of the plan. Buddha plan. Buddha Sasana, the one meaning of Sasana is plan. So the plan is executed and you have completed the mission. And that is one of everything or whole Buddha Sasana in just 4 stanzas. So to do that, or when we do that, so what happens? Apunya is reduced, or Anapana again, Asasasa, Pasasasa. So we are doing the Anapana Sati. We are getting associated with the Dhamma, Anicca Dukkha Anatta, and removing the value, which is Nicca Sukha Atta Subha. And when that is happening, the value to the world is getting reduced. And as a result, Apunya Kriya would not happen from us naturally. So the person would not get angry, would not start to hurt, would not start to steal, would not have unethical relationships. So everything would start to get lower and lower and lower. And the person would become a pure person, pure actions, pure words, pure thoughts. So when that is the case, now Apunya part is gone. Now Punya is only until we complete the wisdom. So this boat, we use this boat only to get across the ocean of sansara, or the river of sansara. So when we get to the other side, we don't need the bigger boat or the smaller thing on the side, or we don't need the number 1 or the number 2. Now that is why it says Arihat is Bahid Punya Papa Pahinasa. Punya is also not there, Papa is also not there. Pahinasa means it is eliminated. So that Arihat now doesn't need the Punya because he has already completed the wisdom. That now he doesn't need that stabilization of, or the background that is needed to practice wisdom, because he has completed it. So now no Punya or no Apunya. But until that point, Punya helps. So Punya should be there. And when somebody is completed the Arya pathway, Punya is also gone, Apunya is also gone, and the rest is still there. And the rest is what you have explained in the question. What is the rest? Going for the dana, having a bath, going to the washroom, washing the face, having washing or drinking water when needed. So all those things are not punya, not apunya. Those are just things that are needed to execute, to function. So in that is why Arihat is punya papa pahinasa and still have actions. So Arihat is not like a stone or a rock sitting on somewhere. He can walk, he can talk, he can do all the things that we can do, but without raga dosa moha, of course. So the other actions that are there falls under, not under punya, not under apunya, but they fall under abhyakata, or we can say for them, we call them kriya actions, or kriya chitta. So kriya chitta are created in all the Aryas. Aryas mean arihats. So there's a good picture of that kind of a boat in which has put by Mr. Tushan. So you can refer to that boat. And now we'll go on to the third question. So in the third question, and it is all connected, the three questions. So the third question is, I think we have already answered half of the third question. And the question is about, I would like to ask you a question carefully. This is something I was curious about as a basis for my studies a few years ago. It was a good time to check if I had any Tirthaka idea since I have reincarnated so far. The thing is, we would get reincarnated until we see the real Buddha Dhamma. So we would be in one of the 62 ditthis, even we know it or we don't know it. We might not call ourselves Tirthakas. For example, there are white, let's say, people in England, people in Germany, people in USA. So they are not Tirthakas, but they also fall under one of these 62 viewpoints if they have not come by the Supreme Buddha's Dhamma and understood it. So everybody, even the Buddhists here in Sri Lanka, they are also falls under the Tirthaka viewpoints if they have not understood the thing correctly. Because it is Lokottara Samma Ditthi we are talking about. Opposite of these 62 viewpoints is Lokottara Samma Ditthi. Oh, so all the people who have not understood Lokottara Samma Ditthi are having at least one of these viewpoints. So they are not all Tirthakas, but they have the viewpoints. So there's a way of explaining this. So the Supreme Buddha has very nicely divided it into 62 types. So everything is covered. So there in the question it asks, three of the 6 Tirthaka also mentioned Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi, Ajita Kesa Kambala. Existence is composed of 4 elements. These 4 elements disperse upon death and return to the nature. So that is what we discussed. So one viewpoint is Apo from the flow, from the environment, Tejo from the environment, Vayo and Patavi from the environment come together, and that itself creates life. So just like we creating cement, we get cement, we add water, we add maybe some heat and some air, and now there's a concrete person kind of a thing. So it is not how it works. So the other one is Pakuda Kachayana. There are 7 elements of existence. Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, soul and suffering are ever existent. Now, if the person believes that it is ever existent, that is Sasata Ditthi, falls under Sasata Ditthi. Never born or no died. So that person is everlasting. So Sasata Ditthi. Maybe Ajita Kesa Kambala is Uchcheda Ditthi. I am not so sure. Therefore, they are in the second one. So neither born or no dead. Therefore, there is no one who kills or dies. So these are very, very dangerous type of viewpoints. So the person kills and the person believes that he did not die. I just sent him to another good place. So that's why the people started killing animals as well. So they started killing 100 goats, 500 cows. And the viewpoint was, I am sending these animals to better places. So Supreme Buddha, I think Supreme Buddha was the one who said that. I can't, I am not sure about that. Anyway, there's this incident where he goes and tells, so why don't you kill your parents, your your children, so that they would go to a better place? If you are so full of metta and sending all the animals to better realms, why don't you do it for your loved ones? Now at that point they are helpless, because they are actually doing it without knowing, with with avijja, full of avijja. They are killing these animals so they can eat them, and they have to find some good reason to fool their minds, so they get into these wrong ideologies. So it is actually avijja that plays the role here. So avijja has become so strong, so the value that gives to the world has become so strong, they deny the reality, or they deny the mechanism how the world works, and believe something else, so that their mind is in peace when they do it. So that's what happens actually. Makali Gosala, the third person. Existence is composed of 12 elements: Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, soul, pleasure, pain, birth, death, gain, loss, and shunyata. And is not created by human will. After 84,000, 8400,000 maybe, yeah, 8,400,000 couples, it is liberated on its own. As far as I know, the Buddha is Makali Gosala. Buddha said Makali Gosala was the worst. Again, there's this ditthi also. Since liberation is automatic or happening anyway after 8,400,000 couples, we don't have any choice. So to be there in the sansaric journey, and until 8,400,000 couples. So if that is the case, again, the person would not mind doing anything bad, because anyway I have to be there. So what else can I do? I'll just live my life. I will just do it uh, in a good way or in a bad way. I just want to feel bliss. So that is the again a wrong approach that they will take. And and I'm reading the question again. As we all know, in other words, some of the Tirthakas saw the body broken down into 4, 7, and 12 elements. And many of those Tirthakas became great disciples of Buddha and achieved Nibbana very quickly. So after understanding the truth, this is. And in the meditation method of on the 4 elements, 32 parts of Kayanupassana, there seems to be no concepts of anicca, dukkha, anatta. To what extent it seems that the Tirthakas have also removed their attachment to the body? I guess that's a reasonable guess. My question: what is the difference between the 4, 7, and 12 elements seen by the Tirthakas and the 32 parts and 4 elements of Kaya Anupassana? So I think the question is clear. Now, might be a good question because it covers up a very important part in Arya Dhamma. So Arya Dhamma, we can divide it into 3 parts. Now this division is done by me, so can be having problems. So this is not something that I have seen in Tripitaka yet. So one is opening up the eyes of wisdom. The other point is becoming anagami. Yeah, you can say that it is in the Tripitaka as well, in a different form, in a different way. And the rest is until Arihat. So what happens when somebody opens up the eyes of wisdom? that person has to understand anicca dukkha anatta, and there's no other way to open up the eyes of wisdom. So understands the anicca dukkha anatta or again the Four Noble Truths, it's the same thing. So when somebody understands the Four Noble Truths or the anicca dukkha anatta, that person, and understanding, of course, understanding the nibbana, what nibbana is. So when these two things have happened, that person has opened the eyes of wisdom. For that kind of a person, the rest of the pathway or the Seka pathway, now he has to do something else. Now there's no more eyes to be opened. Now the action changes from there, because the whole purpose of finding Arya Dhamma was to open up the eyes of wisdom. Now it is opened. Now there's nothing else we can do in that aspect, because it is already opened. You don't have like many eyes to be opened. It's just eyes of wisdom, and that maybe when the eyes are opened, you don't have to open it again. It is opened forever. So you have completed that part of the story. Now it is the rest. Up until Anagami, it is the Sanya Viparita, Sanya Vipallasa. So the recognition is wrong in those people. Even though the eyes of wisdom are opened, the old habit of seeing things, for example, when the person sees a plate of rice, plate of food, that person finds it very pleasing, knows that this is anicca dukkha anatta, but value has already applied to the food item and wants to eat it, wants to consume it, and if in that point he feels like it's nicca dukkha subha, but the viewpoint is already gone. In the heart, he knows that this is also anicca dukkha anatta, and I understand it fully, but I cannot get rid of this craving to have this food. I am compelled. Raga is just occurring. So that is the problem now. So the approach changes in a way. So the person starts to see, or person starts to reprogram his thinking pattern, or change the sanyas in his system. Sanya is corrupted. Sanyas are corrupted. Or the recognition patterns are corrupted with avijja. And this avijja was a result of many bhavas in the sansara. It is how we have programmed everything. We have programmed our minds to see things as valuable. Now it continues to do that, even though we understand that it is the wrong thing. So even the eyes of wisdom are opened. That person feels like these are very good things to eat. These are very good things to feel. These are very good things to use. And that feeling would be there, and the raga would occur. And when the things go south or go wrong, dosa would occur. And all of this is because of moha. So raga, dosa, moha is still there, but it is reducing, of course. To make it reduce more in a very efficient way, what they do is they start practicing the method of division. We divide into apo, tejo, vayo, patavi, and see the core, see the inside, and reason out from our mind. Is it actually that worthwhile getting associated with these things? Is it actually important? Is there actually niche thing? Now, when we divide and see, the illusion of uniformity is changed. Illusion that is created by the things coming together is changed. Kaya means, if we go to the etymology of things, kaya means a combination. So we divide the combination. We use, so anupassana means again seeing it as anicca dukkha anatta. So we cannot say, we are not seeing, when we divide it into 4 elements, when we divide it into 32 elements, we cannot say we are not using the basis as anicca dukkha anatta. Of course, we are using the eyes of wisdom that are already opened. So we divide it as apo, tejo, vayo, patavi, and seeing that these apo, tejo, vayo, patavi are the components that creates this item. And now it is in good shape, nice curves, nice shapes, nice colors, and everything is there. But when I divide it, it is not there. And Apo itself is of anicca nature, dukkha nature, anatta nature. Tejo itself is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. Vayo and Patavi has the same nature. So these four, apart from these four, there's nothing important in this package. So it is Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi which creates this package, which seems very important, beautiful, and blissful. But it is, when we divide, we see only these four things. So at least these four things should be valuable. So we go on and see whether Apo is valuable. Now we see Apo is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, all are anicca, dukkha, anatta. So if these four things are creating the blissfulness, and these four things doesn't have anything to consider as blissful, then the result or the combination of the four also should have nothing to consider as blissful. That is just logic. So when that is the case, the person decides, now I should be a fool to think this way, because I know these things are this thing is made of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, which is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. And when it is combined and made to a very nice shape, nice combination of colors, now I feel like it is of nature, sukata subha nature. Now I have to break this illusion and see the reality. So we cannot say we are not using anicca, dukkha, anatta. Again, in the example of 32 components of the body, so there are like eyes, ears, nose, tongue, teeth, skin, everything is there. So 32 items. So we get each and every 32 items and divide, and let's say we get the 32 teeth in our body, and we get it into our palm, and see whether this is is this nicha, is this anicca. So we understand it is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Again, we can see in that way, and we can use we can get the hair, we can get the skin, and see that whether this is anicca, dukkha, anatta. When we understand that all the 32 items are of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature, and only these 32 items are there in this body and nothing else. So 32 items of anicca, dukkha, anatta cannot create one combined item which is nitya, sukha. So it should be anicca, dukkha, anatta. So the division part is just to get rid of that illusion that is created when they come together. So the second phase of Arya Magga is to get rid of this illusion. Because already the person knows anicca, dukkha, anatta. Of course, the anicca and dukkha, anatta should be the base we think on. But in that base, we are now getting rid of the problem we are currently facing. When we divide, the answer is revealed very easily. So when the person practices this division, it is divided to a point where the attachment does not happen. So we don't get attached to Apo because we understand that it is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, we naturally, when eyes of wisdom are opened, that person has the baseline understanding of everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is covered when the for the good things. This is covered for the valuable things. This is covered for the important things, like food, like people, like various smells, tastes, touches. These are these when the touch, when the smell, when the taste is valuable, that anicca, dukkha, anatta is covered. Not that it is not there. We know that it is there, but it is kind of covered with the sanya viparita. So we have to divide and see that there's nothing to get attached to. So the person divides it and sees that there's nothing to get attached to, and that is the level we should divide them into. If you want to divide it into Suddhastaka and see, that's fine. For that person, it is the level that he likes to divide it into. For another person, maybe it's the apotejo ayapati. For another person, it's the rupa skanda, rupa vedana sanya sankara vinyana. So that division is also possible. So we divide and see that this is not. So because the uniform aggregated nature falls us into the illusion, and we have to get rid of this sanya viparita, or the corruption in the corrupted nature of recognition part. So we have to clean up the recognition part, and that is up to anagami. So the sanya viparita would be gone, and the person would not get deceived by the nature of uniformity anymore. After that, there's the Arihat Magga until Arihathood. And in the Arihat Magga, there are 5 sanyojanas that should be broken. Ruparaga, Aruparaga, Mana, Uddacha, Avidya, and that is a total separate entity that should be dealt with after achieving the or getting rid of the Sanya Viparita. So Ditti Viparita, Sanya Viparita, and Chitta Viparita. Chitta Viparita is the last one to go. So when somebody is developing wisdom, he would gain that wisdom how to get rid of the Chitta Viparita as well. Because when somebody is Sotapanna, it says that person doesn't need any others' help, even a Arya's, even a Supreme Buddha's help to attain Nibbana. He can do it on his own. So he or she has the capacity to do it. The thing is, the development of Magga, the development of wisdom itself shows us the Magga Jnana Dassana Visuddhi. Magga, or the path, and Amagga, or whether it is not the path. So we get a wisdom to, or a sense, or a ability to feel that this is the pathway or this is not the pathway. So Magga, Amagga, or is it the Magga or is it the Amagga? So that person can differentiate it when that wisdom is developing. So we can do it on our own when somebody has developed the eyes of wisdom. So open up the eyes of wisdom. So that is the basis of why we use the method of division to get rid of the corrupted nature or the illusion of recognition part. So the difference between the Tirthakas division and our division is Tirthakas have not opened the eyes of wisdom. So they doesn't know why they are dividing it. They just divide it either to get it to the no end or to the yes end. See, in the first one, Ajita Kesa Kambala, see what he did was he divided it into Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi and decided and concluded that okay, this is just Apo Tejo Patavi, nothing else. And the Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi come together to create a being, and they divide into its own elements, and there's nothing after that. So no focus on the reason of dukkha, or the Four Noble Truths are not covered. Anicca Dukkha Anatta nature is not covered. So he's nowhere at all. He's either in the no end or either in the yes end. If the person is at the no end, the person does not believe that there's a person or a soul or consequences for karma, but the avijja is still there. So the person keeps on doing unwholesome things, apunya kriya, and that person would go to all the places in the 31 places, especially the below ones. So the pakuda kachayana, if the person below is apotejo ayo patavi and plus soul, there's a soul as well. So when there's a soul, that person is not uchcheda but sasada ditti. So when there's a soul, that person believes in afterlife. So when the person believes in afterlife, he would know, he would have this idea, okay, if I do bad things, my afterlife would be bad. So I would not do bad things. Again, that division is just pointless in a way, because there's no elimination of raga, dvesa, moha with this. This is just covering up the mindset with some kind of wrong ideology. So the person is neither born or no dead. Therefore, no one dies or no one kills. So that is again a very bad way to think. Again, the person might do something bad and console himself. Okay, nobody was killed, nobody was harmed in the process. And since these actions are driven with avijja or value, that person would not have a what do you say, repentance on his actions, because he believes that nobody was killed, nobody was harmed, it was just apo tejo vayu patavi, and that is wrong approach. We use apo tejo vayu patavi to get to reduce the value. They use apo tejo vayu patavi to say either this world, this soul is everlasting, or there's no soul, so nothing is there, so no karma vipaka and everything. So totally two approaches, totally different things doing done. Maybe the from an outsider's view, it feels like the same things are being explained. The Supreme Buddha also divides to apo tejo vayu patavi and says that it is useless. And this Ajita Kesa Kambala also saying it is just apo tejo vayu patavi and nothing else. And that is wrong. They have a very vast gap, but only can be seen by a person who understands the reality. Then only the person would be able to understand that this is wrong. Ajita Kesa Kambala is wrong, Pakuda Kachayan is wrong. So, so that is the understanding you should have about these ditthis. So you don't need to focus on. See, still I have not read the Brahmajala Sutta, which has 62 types of Miccha Ditthi, because I thought if I get a chance, I would read, of course, but I am. It is not something I focuses on all the time, or it is not my first priority, because why learn 62 types of Miccha Ditthi when I can learn the real Samma Ditthi? Because then my focus would be towards Samma Ditthi, Lokottara Samma Ditthi, and I would increase my focus just like a laser. So laser, if you know, laser is just light rays, just like a normal bulb, but in the same direction, focused on the same place, in the same waveform or frequency. So the same frequency, same spot, placed on the same spot, and in a very it becomes, when that is happening, it becomes very powerful. It can cut metal, it can cut hard surfaces, can go through, it can penetrate them, because the the laser has become so powerful, just the light rays has become so powerful. So just like that, we have to use all our strength to focus on the Nibbana pathway. If our focus is scattered, if our effort is scattered, that is not being a Sakko, which we discussed in the previous day. Sakko is being organized. Sakko is being consistent, being focused, knowing what we want, and and planning to achieve what we need. So just like learning all the 62 types of Miccha Ditthi, of course, would be a way of attaining Nibbana, because it is not just learning the 62, but learning the Lokottara Samma Ditthi as well. Because since it's a sutta preached by Supreme Buddha, of course, there should be and there is a way to attain Nibbana through that as well. But when somebody has already understood the Anicca Dukkha Anatta, his focus or her focus should be towards Nibbana. And in the side, you can go on and discuss these things. It's fine, and ask these questions. But we have to change our focus. We have to always have our focus to that end point, which is Nibbana. So that I think that might be a good answer for your question. If you have any follow-up questions regarding any of the 3 questions that were sent, then feel free to put that into the chat so we can discuss them today after discussing everything else. So then we'll move on to the last question that was sent to the chat. So by using this chance, I want to introduce your method to Dhamma approach including the way to understand Dhamma concepts. There are many Buddhists in Korea who tend to approach Dhamma as an academic study like. So I want to point out that attitude by making a comparison with your case. Okay, the above question, the question above is for the Dhamma discussion today. So the thing is, I was also learning, uh, 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 you know, in the Western system of education in here in Sri Lanka. So after learning in the school, I went to the university and then started learning there as well. And while learning there, I decided to become a monk after listening to Supreme Buddha's Dhamma through Vaharaka Thero and other Theros, other Kalyana Mittas. So when I decided and came to the temple, of course I had that old method of learning in me. So what I did was I tried to, in learning, when learning science, when learning scientific things, it is always about, um, how can I say? It is always about containing or concealing or putting boxes so that everything is in place. It is, we don't tend to be open when it comes to the scientific method. There's a scientific method. You have to follow the method. So you can't think out of the box. You have to be in the box and think, and you have to s- follow specific protocols, specific principles to achieve something or to invent something. You have to have definitions for words. You have to have various methodologies to do things. If a single thing was out of place, then the whole experiment is gone. So it's like that. So everything should be in a systematic process. But when it comes to Arya Dhamma, it's the totally others upside down. It is the other way around. So, for example, the question which was asked at first about Miccha Ditthi and Samma Ditthi. So we cannot define it in like this is Miccha Ditthi. But when somebody starts to develop wisdom, that person would be able to understand what is said just by reading the thing and developing the emotion out of it. So that is how Arya Dhamma works. We cannot put boxes and put definitions and read something with a pre-created environment or pre-created mindset. When we try to do that, most of the time we are not thinking in a very flexible manner. We are not thinking in a very opened manner. When that happens, all most of the time the answer gets stuck. It doesn't get cleared. This is what happened in for me as well in the beginning. So so what I did was I understood that these are two separate things. After some time I understood, after listening to Vaharaka Thero sermons, I saw the pattern there. So in one sermon, one is explained in a, or one concept is explained in one way, and in another sermon it's totally different, but they do not clash as well. They do not clash. In one explanation is different and the other explanation is totally different from the first one, but they do not clash as well. They are very interconnected as well. So that is a very new experience. So what I did was I kept the scientific type of thinking aside and I started thinking in a new way, where my focus is to eliminate raga dosa moha. I went back to the basic, which is the basic. What we have to do is why are we learning Aryadhamma? Why did I end the ordinary life and came here? So that is the key point. So understanding why we started this. So the why we started this is to end the suffering. So then everything should be focused to end the suffering. So that is why the sutta or the equation which is the Four Noble Truths. Dukkha Jnana is one variable of the equation. Dukkha Samudaya Jnana is another variable. Dukkha Nirodha Jnana and Dukkha Nirodha Samini Patipadaya Jnana. Those are the four variables of this equation, which should be solved to get rid of suffering. So when we get a problem of suffering, we use this equation, we get an answer, and that is our whole plan all along. So to do that, we can get help, we can use other suttas, that's fine. We don't have to get restricted ourselves to just this one. But when practicing, when exploring all of those as well, we have to be very aware that our goal is to end the suffering. So that should be always there when we are focusing on our other when we are focusing on other matters, other things, other discussions, discourses, sermons, everything. We have to be aware that our main goal is to end the suffering. So when that is set, it's very easy to work with Arya Dhamma. So, and we would not be getting into that wrong approach of learning, where we would be learning and we would be exploring to improve our knowledge. It is not about improving knowledge, because we have been improving knowledge all this long, all these lifetimes, but it is about practically applying the things that we learn. See, the equation about ending the suffering, which has four variables, is to use it practically, not to learn it, not to by heart it, not to remember it when wanted to say it. We have been doing it for so long in Sri Lanka. So we had exams in Buddhism. So we had to write the Four Noble Truths, and we by hearted the Four Noble Truths. So we wrote it, and we got marks out of it, and the sansaric journey never ended. So it is not to do that. It is to use it practically. So whatever you learn might not be the word. Whatever you understand out of these sermons, these texts, books, or whatever the Arya, or whatever the things that you can use to grab Arya Dhamma, or to 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 get Arya Dhamma. So in those occasions, try to use it practically on your daily life to improve yourself. For example, when practicing Arya Dhamma, it is also of anicca dukkha anatta nature. Arya Dhamma, not the Arya Dhamma, but the practicing of it. So when practicing Arya Dhamma, we want to get rid of raga, dosa, moha. So we try so hard. So the strings are, it's like playing a violin. So when we play a violin or a guitar, let's say a guitar, so if the strings are so tight, the sound is not good. If the strings are not tight at all or loose, then again the sound is not right. It should be in correct tension to get the correct sound. So just like that, we have to have the correct effort. If the effort is so high and we try to tighten our strings, that would not give out a good result, because we would go into the niche mindset when practicing Arya Dhamma. We would try to control the Arya pathway according to our expectation. Our expectation is to attain Nibbana, and we are controlling and trying so hard without focusing on the anicca nature. What we can do is we can create the causes thinking that the effect would occur, because we had that supreme Buddha, we had that supreme, the enlightened one, to help us to know the causes. So we know the causes. What are the causes? Samma Ditthi, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kamma, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayam, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. So 8 courses. So if we create these 8 courses, Samma Jnana and Samma Vimukti are just results. So we create the 8 courses the way we can and create it some more and keep on creating it, and we can be very sure, because it was preached by Supreme Buddha, that we get the result which is Samma Jnana and Samma Vimukti. So that is one template we can use. Another one is Sati Sambojjanga, Virya Sambojjanga, Priti Sambojjanga, Pasadi Sambojjanga, Dhamma Vijaya Sambojjanga, then there's Upekka Sambojjanga and Samadhi Sambojjanga. So 7 Bojjangas. Again, 7 courses that we have to align to reach the result of Nibbana. So the Nibbana is the result. What we can do is doing it consistently, and we would actually get the results on the way. It's not that we have to wait like 100,000 years or 100 years actually. Maybe in 6 months we would be getting results. We would actually getting at least a little bit of results. It is like when you start plucking flowers to a bowl or a cup. Now the plucking of flowers one by one makes the bowl or the cup heavier. We don't know. Let's say we are blind, but we are plucking flowers. Now when we pluck flowers and put it onto the cup, it is little bit heavier now. We don't know how many flowers are there. We don't know what color. We don't know what the amount, but we feel in our hand that it is getting heavier. Just like that, when we practice Arya Dhamma, when we have practiced for some time, we feel that something is happening. It is getting better. The dukkha is reducing, but we don't know the extent, but we know it is happening. So we have to just keep on doing the same thing, because we just have to pluck more flowers to get the increase the weight. So we pluck more flowers. Like now it was starting, we were starting from like 0, and now it's 20. Now it is becoming heavier. What if we pluck 20 more? Now the weight is doubled. Just like that, when we practice more, the more result we will see. So just like that, what we have to do is we have to practice, keep on doing what we have to do. We have to practice the Arya pathway, and to do that, we have to use these mechanisms or equations, the anicca dukkha anatta, the 4 noble truths, and other various mechanisms like the satipatthana. These things in a very consistent manner, in a very uniform or a consistent manner would be a better word, in a very consistent manner. So when we do that, gradually the pathway or the development, we would be able to see the development. So that is what is important when it comes to Arya Dhamma. So we should not force it so much, because when we are forcing it, we forget the main thing, that it is anicca. Arya Magga is also of anicca nature. Of course, we have to put effort. Putting low effort is again continuing the sansaric journey. Putting more effort than needed, maybe that is not the case with us, but if we do that, again, that is also not helping. That is suffering. That suffering mindset actually cover up the mindset with nivarana. So vyapada nivarana can come. Vichikicha nivarana can come. Uttacha kukkucha, especially that nivarana can come and cover up the nibbana pathway when we try to force it without understanding the anicca. Anicca lakkana, anicca characteristic of anicca. So what we should do is should focus on the anicca, because focus on the characteristic of anicca, and then practice the Arya Dhamma, knowing everything is of anicca nature. It's sabbe sankhara. Sabbe sankhara anicchati. Sabbe sankhara dukkhati. And it's sabbe dhamma. All the dhamma of anatta nature. So when compared with when compared with nibbana, nothing is valuable. So when we so apart from nibbana, the most valuable thing is the Arya pathway or the Dhamma, Buddha Dhamma. So we use the vessel or the boat to cross the river, and we don't keep the boat on our head and go beyond that place. We just drop the boat and leave, because the need for a boat is not there anymore. The purpose of the boat has already been paid off. So with that, I think we have discussed the answer to the last question as well. So if you have anything to add to it, or any follow-up questions, feel free to ask them. And if you don't have any more questions, we can end today's discussion. Anything? So what should we do, Mr. Tushan? Should we wind up the session?
Yes, Thero, seems like there's no more questions coming. I think we can end the session for today. And thank you
Okay.
on behalf of everyone, I would like to thank Thero for giving us much wisdom today throughout the session. Thank you very much.
So today we have discussed many important points when practicing Arya Dhamma, and you have been listening to it, you have been paying attention, doing manasikara, developing vipassana based on the things that we have discussed, and the meritorious power that it generates is immeasurable, because Dhamma Savana, listening to Dhamma, is of course a Punya Kriya. So with this Punya Kriya, the amount of meritorious power that is generated is immeasurable, because it is connected with Buddha Sasana, and it is connected with the core concepts of Dhamma as well. So with this great meritorious power, may everyone get the background to complete the Arya Dhamma with being able to complete or being and creating the calm, quiet, and peaceful environment, which is essential to practice Arya Dhamma with life, comfort, power, refreshness, and wisdom. And in that environment, may everyone be able to complete their Arya journeys, ending the suffering sansaric journey. Accept this blessing with a sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
And in this occasion, let us transfer this meritorious power to all the sentient beings in the universe, starting from the deceased relations we had throughout the sansara, and the ones who were hurt and harmed by us throughout the sansara, and the ones who helped us throughout the sansara, teachers, parents, ones who gave us jobs, ones who have constructed and created the infrastructure and the places we live and places we work on, and the ones who have constructed these temples and maintaining these temples and paying for the internet connections and the electricity bills and also the electronic devices and everything. Only because of them we are able to have this discussion properly, and also the ones who have helped in various ways to have this Dhamma discussion, and also the devas and brahmas and all the sentient beings that are in need of meritorious power and who are seeking meritorious power, and also all the sentient beings in the universe. Let us spread this meritorious power to them, regardless of wherever they are in this universe, irrespective of their current state of being. May they get delighted and happy thinking about these meritorious deeds. May they rejoice on these meritorious deeds, and may they develop immeasurable amounts of meritorious power by being delighted and happy. And may they complete life, refreshness, power, comfort, power, and wisdom. And in that favorable background, may they understand, may they create the background to understand the Arya Dhamma from a Kalyana Mitta, opening up the eyes of wisdom, ending the suffering samsara, completing the Arya pathway, attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Accept this with a sadhukara, transferring merits to all the sentient beings with metta and kindness.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu,
sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu.
We will be ending today's discussion with this small blessing. Abhivadana Silis Nichang Vaddha Pachayano Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayuvanno Kambalang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Minate Samichyatu. May everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Silavantam
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Gurandullavede Mahaladda Vandidunga Vidumvara Sari Buddhari Teranang Agatam Patipatiya Saddha Sila Dayavasa Buddha Buddha Namah Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, Thiruvan Sarana everyone.
Teruvan Sarana everyone. Teruvan Sarana Teru.
Everyone saranai.
Nirvana
Saranai.
Saranai.
Saranai.